Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another live session with the Hype Magazine. I'm your editor-in-chief, Jerry Doby. And today, we've got a hip-hop hero with us by the name of Rocky Bucano. He is the executive director, the man behind the plan for the Universal Hip Hop Museum and the Revolution of Hip Hop exhibit at the Bronx Terminal Market in New York, the birthplace of the culture. This is somebody I've been wanting to talk to for a long time, and thank on the record for doing what you're doing for the culture. Very important mission. Welcome, Rocky.
Well, Jerry, thank you for having me, and it's an honor to be on your show today. Thank you.
I appreciate you. So look, what was the determining factor that made you take on this project?
It's kind of like just being in the right place at the right time. I've been involved in music my entire life, but I did have a short break from music. I was running the New York Gauchos basketball program, and we had got an approach to expand the Gauchos program to another part of the Bronx with a couple real estate developers who thought that they could, win a bid on the Kingsbridge Armory. So we partnered with two real estate developers to see if we can expand the program. And what basically happened, Jerry, was that developer and his partners were disqualified from this proposal bidding process with the city of New York for the Kingsbridge Armory because they didn't have the funding to continue. The city needed to make sure that everyone that was bidding on the Kingsbridge Armory had the funding in place. So the main thing was the city was so excited about the Gauchos looking to expand the program that they asked me to basically, Rocky, would you be interested in continuing the pursuit of some extra space for the Gauchos? And I said, as long as it's not going to cost us any money. And they teamed us up with another developer named Young Woo, who really, the city thought that he may have a chance to win the Kingsbridge Armory project. So we teamed up with Young Woo, and, coincidentally, he is from, Seoul, Korea, born there, but he was raised in Argentina, where the founder of the Gauchos is from as well, Lou Dalmeda. So there was like a little synergy there between the Gauchos and Young Woo. And then about 3 months into the project, Young Woo basically just asked me, it's like, look, Rocky, I love the Gauchos. I think we got a great chance to win, but I really would like your help to think about some other programs we could add to my proposal to make it better for the community. And then I told him, you should consider adding a hip hop museum to your proposal.
Okay.
And when I told Young Woo that, he was immediately fascinated by the idea of a hip hop museum, and him being one of the most successful, business persons, real estate developers in New York City. He's like, look, if you can get everyone that's involved in hip hop excited about this hip hop museum and help them advocate for my project to win this Kingsbridge Armory, I'll build the gym for the Gauchos and I'll build the hip hop museum. And that was the genesis and the birth of this Universal Hip Hop Museum project.
Okay. And to buttress that, along came, legends, Kurtis Blow, Ice-T, LL Cool J, and Nas to help add the marquee value, obviously. And but at the forefront and the face of everything has been Rocky Bucano. And you've borne the weight of the project, and an admirable job. We share some gray hair, so I'm just going to say that you representing for the elders in the community and the culture, is a big thing, and is an example for the youngsters not to give up and not to lessen the impact of the culture that was created, which the world. So all that, I've been watching from the concept art to the groundbreaking to everything. What was like the most exciting point for you? Like last year, I think you broke ground, did the official groundbreaking, and their actual concrete being poured.
Yeah, so I've been working on this project going on 13 years now.
Mm.
And I think there was there were several key milestone moments for me in this project. The first one was when we were not even knowing where the museum was going to be located. We were playing around with the idea of putting the museum at the old Bronx County Courthouse on 3rd Avenue in the Melrose section of the Bronx. And we had did a project for Netflix. We did a screening of their series, The Get Down. And I had convinced Netflix to, you know, do their VIP screening in this abandoned courthouse that had no windows, no heat, no running water. And they were like, this is brilliant. So they did the screening in the courthouse, and they converted this old courthouse into a state-of-the-art movie theater, and the entire cast, Will Smith's son was there, Jaden, Spike Lee was there, you know, the who's who came out for the screening, and everyone thought that the museum was going to be at that courthouse. But shortly thereafter, I realized that the courthouse wouldn't be the ideal location for the museum. So I basically told the owner that, you know, we're not going to put the museum here. It's just not going to be a good fit. And then about 3 weeks later, I got the call from Josue Sanchez of L&M Development Partners about a new proposal that his company was going to, participate in for a vacant lot in the lower Grand Concourse, which is where the museum actually sits now. So when that proposal went in, we had no idea, we had no clue that we were going to prevail because other developers were submitting proposals as well. You know, and I had already been through one of these RFP process with the city of New York for the Kingsbridge Armory. So from that experience, I knew that this is not a done deal until it's a done deal. But when they gave us the green light and said that we were approved to move forward, I was like, holy cow, now this is something different. You know, we actually have a developer now. We have a piece of property where we can build this museum at. Maybe finally we will have a home for this, you know, future Universal Hip Hop Museum project. And it took us about 3 years from the time that we actually started to get the green light to start construction. And now here we are in 2022. The building is topped off. The apartments are almost, almost finished. The museum will start its construction next year, and we will open in 2024. So when I say start our construction, our core and shell is already up, but it's the interior, exhibit space and all the theaters and all the other infrastructure that's needed will begin next year.
Okay.
So groundbreaking, May of 2021 was fantastic. You know, we had more than 500 people come out. LL Cool J, Nas was there, Fat Joe, Slick Rick, Grandmaster Flash, MC Shaw Rock, Chuck D. I mean, on and on and on. They all came out, it was great to see, because for so many years prior to that, there was very little support from our own hip hop community. It took a minute for them to get convinced that this project was actually going to happen. So now that people see that it's real, I think, more and more people are getting involved in it.
Yeah, I do remember a while back we were chatting a bit, in the DMs on Twitter about, needing more active support from the community and things like that. And I have been floored by the people who've actually stepped up and heeded your call, which speaks to, their respect for your level of commitment to the project and to the culture. And yeah, when I looked, I'm going, what? Okay, finally, you know what I mean? It just started to rain. So recently, the Revolution of Hip Hop exhibit actually opened its doors, and the floodgates of celebrities and hopefully just fans of hip hop have been coming through. I've been watching the posts. Talk to us about the Revolution of Hip Hop exhibit and what it signifies for the beginning of the legacy that will be the Universal Hip Hop Museum.
So the Revolution of Hip Hop, located here at the Bronx Terminal Market, is what we call our sandbox. It allows us to get creative and explore different exhibit stories that we want to tell. We've been in this space for 3 years now. We opened the doors in 2019, right before the pandemic. And the first exhibit that we opened was about the origins of hip hop, how it started, who started it, what is hip hop, the story of, the emergence of the culture, how it came to be, and what it has become. And then the second exhibit was about the commercialization of hip hop, how hip hop moved from the parks to the clubs, and now is in films. It's touring around, the country in big arenas. And, we are now starting to hear it on the radio. So that was the second exhibit. And now I'm sitting in our third exhibit, which is called The Golden Era, 1986 to 1990, celebrating what I truly believe in my heart is one of the most important eras in the history of hip hop, because of how it accelerated the global adoption of what we now know as hip hop. Prior to 1985, 1986, even 1984, 83, we knew that we had this culture, but we really didn't know how well it was going to do, in terms of longevity. So here we are now, getting ready to celebrate 50 years next year. I think it's safe to say that hip hop is not only going to be around for generations to come, it is the most dominant music and art culture in the entire world. So this exhibit is our best. We got artifacts in here from Slick Rick and Run DMC and LL Cool J, and we have a bike that's not part of this current era that was just donated to us from Coolio, who passed away 2 weeks ago, but it remains one of our greatest possessions. So this revolution of hip hop allows us to give people a sneak preview of our future home, which is right across the street.
Okay. And, November is National Hip Hop History Month. So the fact that you're open and showing the golden era, of hip hop right now is perfectly timed. Everything just seems to be perfectly timed and falling into place. And it's just magical. I'm excited. I'm in the Midwest, but I can't wait to get back to New York to see what you've accomplished and just, maybe, get a little misty-eyed at some of the passage of time and some of the accomplishments that the culture has achieved. You know what I mean? And then, like you said, next year is the official 50th anniversary. And you'll be open, hopefully, right on time for that. I'd like to say that, hip hop has been a movement that was to include, support, and inform a culture, and that, the fact that you're providing, 542 permanent apartments, you know what I mean? that are rent and income restricted. It supports one of the pillars, you know what I mean, of support for the people. And thank you for that. I know that you had a team that put that into place, and you talked it up. What else is coming up from the museum to close out the year? I know you've got something wild ready to roll. Can we hear about it?
So we're going to launch the UHHM Virtual Museum in the metaverse. We're going to give people a sneak preview of that during Hip Hop History Month. And we are also planning a special mic drop instead of a ball drop with our partner Microsoft for New Year's Eve to usher in 50 years of hip hop history. So those are the two next big things on our table. And then obviously we are partnered with the city of New York to curate the city's contribution to the global evolution of hip hop over a 50-year period. And it's going to be one of New York's greatest moments because, you know, many cities can celebrate hip hop history, but New York City is uniquely the only city that can really claim 50 years of hip hop history. So we're going to be helping Mayor Adams and his team, you know, paint the city with hip hop history in each borough so that, you know, people around the world and people who live in those communities can learn how their borough contributed to the global evolution of hip hop. So it's going to be an exciting project.
Okay. I know that you've done a lot of interviews, and everybody's asked you whatever questions they may have had, but I'm of the mind to ask you, is there a question that we in the media have yet to ask you about this project that you've always wanted to answer?
Well, I think, you know, people have to understand that museum development is not an easy business, especially if you're a person that doesn't come from the world of museums, like myself. You know, I never imagined in my wildest dreams that I would be the person leading the charge to build a museum for hip hop. It kind of like just fell in my lap. But, you know, God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes you get these gifts that, you know, you don't expect because, you know, God knows best on what's most needed at any given time. And I guess he chose me because he knew that I had the acumen and the tenacity and the strength to pull this project from concept to reality. So, you know, what other people should know is that we are a nonprofit charity. This is not a money-making project. We're not trying to make money off the culture like people may think. We're doing this because we want to make sure that the history is documented and preserved for future generations to come and see and learn about the pioneers, the people who created the culture, how the culture has impacted the world, and what the culture has done for so many people who had very little. So the hip hop is a source of aspiration and inspiration. You know, the people, the creatives that get involved in hip hop, they aspire to uplift themselves and their families. And they use their creativity to create new opportunities. And it's a source of inspiration for those people who look for hope and opportunity and want to be prosperous. That's what hip hop does.
And you're pulling it all together in one location. I mean, Motown's got Hitsville in Detroit. Chess Records has their museum in Chicago, and hip hop has now its amazing, impactful edifice. I call it an edifice because it's almost a religious kind of thing, man, for the culture, you know, in the birthplace of hip hop, where it should rightfully be. not in, no disrespect to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all of that, but the Universal Hip Hop Museum is where our people belong from hip hop. You know what I mean? And it should be the most celebrated. I, hear all the time that there's an award show that claims to be the most important night of music in the world of music. I believe that the official launch of the Universal Hip Hop Museum to the public will be the most important night for music because it is
Right.
overtaken. I mean, you got boys in cowboy hats now rapping, right? So obviously we've touched country music, which we probably started. Uh, touched jazz through like the legendary Sky Zoo, who does jazz-based music, and hip hop. So we've touched every corner of the globe and achieved a commercial success that people thought we wouldn't have as a culture. And thank you for what you're doing. It's a beautiful, beautiful concept, a beautiful piece of work that you've done. Is there anything that you wanted to cover that I may have neglected? I could talk to you for hours, considering I'm just getting to lay eyes on you. And I've, over the years, you've answered my questions without me even asking them because of your actions. But is there anything you wanted to cover I may have neglected?
No, well, the only other thing I would say, Jerry, is I want all hip hoppers from every element to be confident in this museum that we are going to make sure that their story is told accurately with the greatest attention to detail, to make sure it's presented in the most authentic kind of way. And we are going to preserve it for generations to come. We are the only institution that is dedicated to that mission. You can have the Smithsonian, you can have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they are not dedicated solely to the preservation and celebration of hip hop history and culture. And that's what the Universal Hip Hop Museum is.
Okay. The world appoints leaders in different, you have Black leaders, you have Jewish leaders, you have, leaders that are appointed from every different world that may not have actually stepped up to the role to be called a leader. Here we have a gentleman, Rocky Bucano, who has, despite all pushback, despite all doubt from outside forces, has stayed the course, exhibited the intestinal fortitude to navigate the maze and straighten it out on behalf of the culture of hip hop, and has earned his place, in my opinion, as the leader of the hip hop movement on the business tip. You know what I mean? He's making it happen for us. And I want to just thank you and give you your flowers while we're both still here. You feel me? I appreciate you. If there's nothing else, I know that your time is precious. So I want to respect that. I just want to once again say thank you. And everybody, what are your operating hours now? People are, starting to make Christmas trips and go home to family in New York and things like that. What are the operating hours and where can they get more information?
Yep. So the Revolution of Hip Hop is located at the Bronx Terminal Market, which is 610 Exterior Street in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx, 15 minutes from Midtown New York City. Don't be afraid to come to the Bronx. We are open Tuesday through Sunday, Tuesdays until 6 p.m., Wednesday through Sunday until 7 p.m. And of course, just $20 to get a ticket. You must reserve your tickets online at uhhm.org.
Okay. Are you still, you reserve your tickets and all that? What about, are you still following any COVID protocols or health protocols that they should be aware of?
Right now, you don't need to show proof of vaccination. Things may change as COVID changes all the time. But the only thing that we do require is people to wear masks inside when they come inside.
Okay, fair enough. All right, everybody. The Hype Magazine live sessions. Rocky Bucano, President, Universal Hip Hop Museum. Go check out the Revolution of Hip Hop exhibit is open and ready to be viewed. And when, I think I missed to ask, when will the virtual tour be available for the
We don't have a specific date yet. We're working through finalization with our design team, but we know it's going to launch next month for Hip Hop History. So just stay tuned.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you and respect you. And you're welcome back anytime to the Hype Magazine, man. You got a friend here. You already know this.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.